I'm Rachel Tompkins. I'm Mason's mom. He hit his head and gave himself a TBI, and he went downhill quickly. Within the week, I noticed that, he was constantly complaining of headaches and feeling nauseous, and then his appetite disappeared, and then he couldn't really do a whole lot. He was just really lethargic, not the same kid that he was before. So we took him to the pediatrician, and she started asking him questions, and we figured out that not only was his long-term kind of shady, but he had lost all of his short-term memory. And so basically they suggested that we put him on a full cognitive rest, which means no computer screens, no TV. He just had to lay on the floor or on his bed and do absolutely nothing. We could read to him for maybe about 5 minutes max, but that was it. So we tried that for about a month, and at the end of June, when we went back in, they weren't happy with the results, so we had to continue with that in July. And in July, I had him sign something for me on a piece of paper, and we realized that his injury was even more serious because he couldn't even remember how to form letters for the alphabet and sound them out. So at that point, I got sent to a specialist for kids down at Atlanta Children's Healthcare, and they asked him questions and determined, kind of the same thing that we had already decided, is that, he had an injury, but their only, I guess, diagnosis or whatever that they could come up with to help him was to just have him lay in a dark room and modify his school schedule where he was taking 20-minute breaks twice a day. About 3 months after that, we went for a follow-up review, and nothing had changed. It was still the same story. He was struggling with school. He used to be an 80 student, but he was completely failing everything. And so when we went back in, they wanted to stick him on Ritalin, and that was my last straw. I couldn't do it to him. So I contacted a chiropractor friend that I had, and he was helping me work with some homeopathic supplements that basically do the same thing but without the chemical alteration to your brain. And then he had recommended me and said, I would go to Dr. Ellis if I were you. If this were my child, this is where I'd take him. So I got in contact with Dr. Ellis, and Mason started working with him about mid-November, and we've been going twice a week since, and it's now January 29th. And Dr. Ellis has done more for Mason in the 2.5 months that we've been here than any doctor has been able to do. Mason is now back to his normal self. He's getting A's. He can remember things. He's a happier kid, and he has more confidence in himself. I would totally try to find somebody like Dr. Ellis to come and help you out, because they'll give you better advice. They'll help you more than a doctor will. A doctor just told me to stick him in a dark room and let him heal, because that's all they could do for him. So